Hey guys, today I wanted to talk about diaspora Turks and why they tend to vote for right wing political parties in Turkey because this has been a subject that a lot of people love to lie about, especially other Turks, because, for whatever reason, a lot of Turks love to denigrate other Turks for, to uplift themselves, basically. But, anyways, one of the reasons why mainland Europe diaspora Turks tend to vote for like right wing parties is actually just their rural background. I agree with this argument. This is a common sided argument, like the fact that, they came from like very impoverished regions in Turkey, which obviously feeds into like a nationalistic fever or religious sentiment, because obviously you try to, appeal to like collectivistic ideologies as like some kind of opium to weaken, as some kind of a coping mechanism, right? Because yeah, your individual life is shit, but you're at least like part of like you at least like are part of something greater. Now, that's one of the reasons, but I don't think that's that reason that argument tells the whole story. The second reason might be racism. They feel like they have been maltreated by some Europeans or something like that, and they retreat into like that Turkish community. So that might be one of the reasons as well. But these two reasons are kind of shitty, like honestly, they're kind of shitty. I feel like these reasons are insufficient because, first of all, to what extent can you actually basically pass down your rural background three generations later? And second of all, I don't really think that, especially young Europeans, are extremely racist. I think that they're pretty open minded. Now, obviously, I'm not denying that racism exists in Western Europe, but it's compared to like 10, 20 years ago, it has diminished quite a lot. Like all of Western Europeans, whether social media tries to portray something else, they have a lot of the world, the zeitgeist has become much more cosmopolitan. But yeah, what is the reason actually that a lot of Turks tend to vote for like right wing parties? And when I say like, I shouldn't say like right wing parties, I should rather say like right wing reasons, because they might vote for like AK Party, but the reason why they vote for AK Party is not the same reason why they vote for AK Party, why a Turk in Turkey might vote for AK Party, right? A Turk in Europe who votes for AK Party, he votes for AK Party because he likes Erdogan, he likes people from the eastern Black Sea region, or he votes for it for like very cultural right wing reasons. So that's one of the explanations, and that will basically feed into my main point. So a lot of diaspora Turks, they vote for like very cultural reasons because it doesn't really matter whether CHP or AK Party or MHP or whatever, changes something about Turkey's economy, because it doesn't really affect them. So they exclusively vote for like cultural and identitarian reasons. But and those identitarian reasons tend to be obviously right wing, right? So when a Turk in Europe tends to vote for AK Party, they vote for it for like identitarian, culturally Muslim reasons. When they vote for CHP, they vote for it for right wing Kemalist, identitarian reasons, and so forth. You get the point, right? But the main point, the main explanation for this is simply survivorship bias. Most diaspora Turks that you see that vote, that come back to Turkey, that regularly visit Turkey, that regularly invest into Turkey, and so forth, they tend to be Turks that are connected or have incentive to stay in Turkey because their identity is a positive one. That's one of the harsh, brutal truths about Turkey. Like all of people, a lot of people will say like Turkey, it doesn't really matter. It's all just about your mindset, and it doesn't matter where you're from. Blah blah blah. Racism is bad and stuff like that. But that's kind of cap. That's a bit of a cope, whether you like it or not. In Turkey, being middle class or upper class, speaking materially, uh, being from a nominally Sunni Muslim family, I'm saying nominally because Sunni Muslim but secularized, right? And being ethnically Turkish basically puts you on the food, on top of the food chain. And whether you like it or not, this type of identity comes with privileges that you will not experience in Western Europe or, outside of Turkey. Maybe like in other countries, you might experience that as well. But you get the point that I'm trying to say, right? So a lot of these people that, these are obviously on top of the food chain. As in the second rank, you have like normie Muslims that are ethnically Turkish, or come close to it. And on third, you have basically just Kurdish, deeply devout Muslims, or Arab Muslims. The the joke obviously goes that the further away you are from secular Sunni ethnic Turks, the more fucked you are in Turkey, basically. And yeah, that's just like a brutal pill that I'm not justifying it. I'm not trying to defend it or anything like that. And some people might like get triggered about it, say like, I'm a Christian Armenian and I love Turkey, or I'm an Alevi and I love Turkey, or I'm like a Kurd and my family died for this country, blah blah blah. But let's be frank, honestly. Like, I'm not denying those individual experiences, but whether you like it or not, in Turkey there is a social hierarchy, right? So a lot of these people, when sometimes people say like, I go abroad, I'll leave Turkey, and then after 10 years or 20 years they come back to Turkey. And the reason why they come back is basically just they always will come up with like some stuff, type of stupid reason, like I love the food, this is my home country. They will give like some kind of politically correct answer, but the reason for why they actually just return to Turkey is because their status, their identitarian status is just very high in Turkey. That's just basically the short end of it. And a lot of these people that have like those social incentives to remain connected to Turkey, they usually vote for AK Party, they usually vote for MHP, and they usually, vote for CHP, but CHP as in like for right wing reasons. They don't vote for it because, CHP has like social democratic policies, but they vote for CHP because they want to, see a Kemalist republic again or something like that. So that's the reason why diaspora Turks tend to vote right wing or for right wing reasons in the Turkish elections. And yeah, that's just the very simple explanation. It's just a very basic survivorship bias. The types of Turks that are not voting, they tend to be like, yeah, they don't really care that much. Anyways, see you guys in the next one.